What is up, guys? My name is Saib and this is the first episode of this new series in which we will be talking about HTML5 Canvas with an emphasis on game development. That means we're going to go over all of Canvas elements and the thing that we should know in Canvas in order to build 2D web games. I thought this first episode should be just an introduction to what Canvas is and how exactly the browser translates the code into something that gets displayed. And at the end of this video, I think we're going to make a template to use for all of the demos and the games that will come up in this series. Okay, so HTML5 is the latest iteration of HTML. And as we all know, HTML is just a way of structuring and defining the contents of our web page using tags. So Canvas is an HTML tag that we use in order to draw shapes and any graphical shape or images or texts, and just apply colors and transformations and animations to it in order to build any graphical applications, whether it's a game or any interactive graphics or smooth motions, as we all know. So yeah, that's simply it. So consider Canvas just an area on the screen that we can manipulate with JavaScript in order to draw things, as I said. And Canvas is a graphics API. So talking about the graphics APIs have two modes, or just think of them as modes of operation. So the first one is retained mode APIs, and an example of the retained mode APIs are Flash or SVG, if you've heard of them. And in this type of graphics mode, we construct an application using shapes and lines and everything. Then the graphics API is going to impose its own scene model and store it in memory. And to draw that frame, the graphics API is going to issue some drawing commands into the browser in order to get it displayed. And if you want to update anything, like to do some animations or anything, we have to issue a command from our application, in which is the HTML document with all of the stylings and the JavaScript applied to it. So we issue an update statement for the API, and then the API is going to redraw that scene model and store it in memory again and issue some drawing commands into the browser. While the immediate mode API, such as Canvas or WebGL for 3D graphics, each time a new frame is drawn, we issue the drawing commands directly from the application, from the HTML document. And yes, that's simply it. So there's the graphics API will not store a scene model in memory or anything. So the application keeps track of the scene the whole time. Simply that is it about the graphics APIs. I'm going to leave some references in the comments, in the description box, so that you can actually read about it more in details if you want. And I'm also going to leave 2 books in which I suggest you should read in order to understand everything in details, like much detailed. And yeah, that's simply it. So I think now we should just do the template that we're going to use for most of the demos and the games. So if we started by creating an HTML document, so by saying new. And what I like about Canvas is that it doesn't require much to actually do some application with it, because all it needs is just a text editor and the browser, a supported one. So I'm going to use brackets. You can use VS Code or any text editor that you feel that you're good with. And yeah, so starting by doing the simplest structure for an HTML document to be used with Canvas, so Doctype Html. Talking about Doctype, I think Doctype is something that is necessary for HTML5 documents, so I don't think you should skip this one. And now let's just add the HTML tag. We can specify a language of reference, so say the English, and then we have the head tag and the body tag. Okay, so for the head, let's specify a title. Okay, so HTML5 Canvas. Okay, then we can add some metadata. Metadata is something is just tags that give characteristics to the website, to the web page, more like some descriptions to it, some related information about the web page. So yeah, so if we just specify the character encoding method for the page, which is the UTF-8, the casual one, and we can just add another another metadata, for instance, which is a description, and the content be a template for Canvas demos. Right, so now let's just give it a header in the body so that we can see that it's actually working. So say hello. Okay, now we can go to the live preview. Okay, it's actually working just fine. What I like about brackets is that if you highlighted anything either in the browser or in the text editor, you can see that it gets highlighted. So yeah, that's actually a good one. So let's add the canvas tag, in which is the canvas area that we're going to use for, as you can see, it got highlighted, this one. Okay, so if we give it an inline styling, such as a border, to just actually see this one. So style, and then I'm going to go to border, 1 pixel, black and solid. You can see that it got highlighted. That means everything is working just fine. While this inline styling is a good way to start, I think I'm just going to create a different, like just a styling CSS file to apply all of the tags to it. And just get a new one, save as styles and then CSS. Okay, now we have to link it in the HTML file. So I'll just say link relation. It's going to be a style sheet, and then type. Then the type 1 is not actually required for HTML5 documents, so you can actually not use that. It's okay. Hybrid reference is going to be styles. Okay. So now if we give it the canvas an ID to refer to this canvas tag, so let's just say my canvas. Okay, now let's go to the CSS file, and we can just say hash my canvas. You can just say border 1 pixel. Make it red now. Okay. Now everything is working fine. We have our canvas and highlighted. We can actually specify the width and the height for the canvas. So if we just said width in here 500 for instance, and height can make it 500. Okay, now we got a 500 pixels width canvas and 500 pixel height canvas. Okay, so that is the area where we're gonna draw things and actually build our games within this one. So canvas is manipulated with JavaScript. So let's create a new JavaScript file. Just save it and just say script.js. We can actually just use the script one and do an inline JavaScript thing. So we can write our JavaScript in here, but I'm gonna use a separate file. It's okay if you want to just do the inline thing. So say source and script.js. Okay, so now in this, talking about JavaScript, there's something that is called the DOM, or the document object model, in which it simply just represents all of the objects in our HTML page. So every object in the web page is represented by this DOM, or the document object model, and it's accessible through JavaScript. So if I want to refer to the canvas element or the canvas tag in the HTML document, I have to use the document object of the DOM. So let's just say that variable canvas, and I just said document. This document is an object of the DOM that I can use in order to reference the canvas tag in the HTML document. So I can just say get element by ID, in which in our case is my canvas. Or we can use a more flexible way, in which is the query selector, in which we can actually refer to IDs or classes even. So yeah, so hash my canvas. Okay, so now let's talk about the context of the context, for instance. Now the canvas, just canvas and get context. Now think of the context as a mode of operation. For the canvas in which we're going to use in this series is the 2D rendering context, to be used for 2D graphics and everything that is in 2D and not 3D. So if we want to use the 3D, we can actually use WebGL or experimental WebGL, but that is something that is not covered in this series. We're going to go over to 2D. So yeah, think of it as the context as a mode of operation. So now that we have the 2D rendering context canvas, for the canvas, we can actually access all of the functionality and the elements and functions to it. So we can just say context and just dot, and let's test this with a fill rect, which is gonna draw a rectangle in which is filled. So let's say that let's choose the position of the rect. Let's say 50 for x coordinates and 50 for y coordinates. Just say 100 by 100 for the width and height. So if I save this one, so yeah, by refreshing this one, we can actually see that the canvas draw this filled rect and a position of 100 on the x coordinates and y and 100 in the y coordinates. You should know that in Canvas it uses the inverse Cartesian coordinates, in which is the x coordinates values increases from the left to right, and the y coordinates, unlike the casual Cartesian one, it increases from top to the bottom like this. So it's just got 100 in here, 100 in y coordinates and x and y coordinates. So yeah, I think that is for this one, and I'll see you in the next one.